Oh, hey, didn't see you there. Welcome.
Hi.
Welcome to RAT, guys. We are giving you a special episode, special segments just for y'all as we get into a little new, you know what I'm saying? You know, we're going to just a slide bit to the side of our anime and regular scheduled programming. We're going to try something new here. Of course, we are here with our humble host. We have Goddess here. We have Mochi here, and of course BDC. And again, this is a special episode. We want to try something a bit different. And today we will be getting into a few scary Japanese urban legends that you can find right here on YouTube. So with that in mind, we're going to get into a couple of stories here. Watch hopefully some creepy and give a few shout outs to some of these channels that's been doing this for quite some time. So.
Mochi don't like scary stuff.
I'm not really good.
That's why they nervous over talking to each other. They don't even know what to say.
Okay, I'm gonna be quiet.
Nah, what about you? You ready?
Oh, I'm sorry.
So ready. Definitely dealing with Goddess. She's the horror buff. I love horror too, but yeah, let's get into it and see how this goes. So with that in mind, we're going to bring out the Retotron and we're going to get started with the first one, which is the 8-foot tall lady. All right, this came from the channel called Nightmare Tales. Yeah, this thing's raking up a few views, to be honest with you. It's been around for a little bit of time. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into our first Japanese urban legend. Let's see how this goes.
In the summer of 1970, Kana, an 8-year-old girl from Tokyo, and her parents traveled to the small town of Aya in Miyazaki Prefecture to visit her grandparents. They had a small house and a large property which Kana reveled in running around and exploring the lush green and overgrown countryside. Kana's parents had left her in the care of her grandparents as they tended to some commitments in the city of Miyazaki itself, which Kana did not mind at all. She loved the freedom of being in the wide open spaces outdoors and would disappear for hours into the surrounding forest. It was on the second day her parents were gone that Kana had her first unfortunate encounter with Hachishakusama, the 8-foot-tall lady. Kana was just inside the edge of the forest, happily collecting rocks to take back as souvenirs, when she heard a disturbing sound. Po, 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 po. It whispered in a deep masculine voice. Kana looked up towards the source of the sound and froze in fear when she saw a huge woman dressed in all white, with hair as black as a raven, a cold grey face with an unsettling smile, and a huge hat that cast a shadow all the way down her long, 8-foot-tall frame.
Who's this guy?
Kana and the woman locked eyes briefly as she tried to find her voice to call out, but she could barely breathe, let alone make a sound. Then the woman backed away and disappeared into the dark shadows of the forest.
You don't come up here po-po-po and then ain't gonna say nothing.
No, it's
struggling to get her legs to work properly. Ran down to the farmhouse and
I don't ever want to hear that in the
and
dark.
told her grandma what she had seen. Once Kana's story had been properly relayed and the gravity of the situation
I'm always mad as like, I'll beat the shit out of you.
demeanor quickly
You see your demons in my backyard?
serious.
why her lips look like
She
they got
grabbed
stitches.
Kana by the arms and
She
demanded to know exactly what she had seen and heard. As Kana explained, her grandma began to weep.
Why are you crying?
The grandmother quickly relayed what had happened to her husband.
Just shaving
In
off.
shock,
Hello, police? Yeah, I called you because of this.
At their hotel,
You don't even know the phone,
a
Clancy.
message was left with the concierge.
Yeah, that hair needs to go.
Kana, now
It's
scared
his
and
imagination
confused,
at this point.
asked what was going on and why everyone seemed to be in such a panic. Her grandfather sat her down and stared deep into her eyes. Listen closely, Kana, he started. It seems you've been chosen by Hachishakusama, and unless we can protect you, she will abduct you, like she
Excuse?
did several other children in this area.
Oh, she's a kidnapper.
Kana was now in tears.
I'd be scared
when she had just
too.
been told
I like Grandpa. He's into the sick
Yet she couldn't
jokes.
help but want to know more.
What was
Who
the
is
joke?
Hachishakusama, she then asked. Her grandfather went on to explain. No one knows her origins, he said. Only that this 8-foot woman selects her victims by quietly approaching them, then chanting a po, 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 po sound
and
before
so it was.
retreating.
Oh,
Within a few
that
days,
was dope.
that person will disappear. She was supposedly captured by some local monks who imprisoned her in an old shrine by placing a Jizo statue at north, south, east, and west points of the ruins.
Okay.
It appeared, however, that somehow Hachishakusama has escaped.
How?
Kana was then taken into the most secure room in the house. The windows were boarded up, and small balls of pure salt were placed in each corner of the room.
Always works. It always
You
works.
must not leave this room,
Yes.
not under any circumstances, her grandmother strictly instructed. Never? Kana's voice trembled.
Never.
Not until your
Why you
parents
laughing,
return
Dad?
to take you home, she replied. Then I'll be safe? Kana asked. Yes, her grandmother sighed as her gaze dropped to the floor. Then you'll be safe. However, you can never ever return to Miyazaki.
Oh, she
Kana
can't come
began to
back.
cry as her grandmother left the room.
Mm-mm.
Don't leave me, she wailed.
Girl, but you ain't gonna go out in no
Grandma
forest no
exclaimed she
more.
couldn't stay within the room.
Stay your little ass
For
at
Kana
home.
to be sure to lock the door
Pitch
once it was
black.
closed.
Oh, I hate that. It's even worse.
Night
I would've
fell over
taken
the
that.
countryside, and Kana,
But being in the
alone
dark,
and
other demons
cold
show
in
up.
the dimly lit room, sobbed quietly,
Nah, not with
wondering
the
when her
salt.
parents would
Oh,
return
yeah, you're right.
to take her home. Several hours into the cold night, she heard her grandfather call out to her. Kana, are you okay? If you're scared, I can come in to keep you company. You don't have to be all alone. Open the
Mm-mm.
door, he said.
No, why would
No.
grandpa
Kana
tell you that?
leapt up and moved over to the door to unlock it, but then was overcome with an icy chill as she approached and realized that something was wrong. Her grandfather's voice was somehow different. Open up, her grandfather asked again.
Bless you.
Thank
It's
you.
safe now. Kana looked
Germ.
inside,
Thank you.
and she could see the salt in the bowl slowly turning black
Oh,
as she
ew.
heard the sound. Pull, pull, pull.
She couldn't keep up the facade no more.
From the
She
other
gave
side
up.
of the door. She backed away into the center of the room and cried uncontrollably
Oh,
for the
poor
rest of the night.
baby.
Morning eventually arrived, and so did Kana's parents, who quickly took her into their arms and into their car. They exited Miyazaki immediately, sadly, never to return.
Don't bring your child
Once
back
back in
here.
Tokyo, Kana kept in touch with her grandparents, and she felt an eternal sorrow that she would never be able to visit them again, and that they were too elderly to travel.
I was about to say, they
This
can
sorrow
come
was
visit
even
her.
further amplified when several years later, her grandfather passed away, and she was unable to attend his funeral.
Oh, dang.
Then, just last week, Kana's grandmother called to give her some terrible news. She had been diagnosed with cancer. Her grandmother then asked Kana if she would come to see her one last time before she died. Kana was confused. But, Grandma, she started, it's not safe. It's fine, her grandmother went on.
How's
That'll
it
happen a
fine
long
if she
time
couldn't
ago.
go to her
You're all
Grandpa.
grown up now. I'm
Funeral.
sure it will be fine.
No, that don't
Are
even
you
sound
sure?
right.
Kana asked. I'm sure, came the reply, along with the bone-chilling pull.
I would throw that phone. I got goosebumps.
Across the
Kana dropped the
room.
phone, retreated to the corner of the room, and relived the horrific feelings she had felt that night when she was in her grandparents' home, alone, in the dark.
Yeah, no.
I would
No.
throw out every phone. I would throw out the TV.
Ooh.
I think this is just symbolism. I think the 8-foot tall lady represents gingivitis. Rotten food,
Yo, y'all, do you
twisted voice,
Do you see this?
to the point of no return. You can't go back now.
Wow.
Gingivitis. That's what she said. Poop.
Home.
Poop.
My
Nah.
popo-
It's like she don't want you to smell her breath talking, so she poop.
Home. What y'all think?
Oh god.
You like it?
All I know is I better not hear that.
I know,
sound.
I know. If I hear that in the middle of the night, somebody getting boppity bop 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 like I'm fighting.
Knowing you probably do that while I'm asleep, and you get smacked.
I do my
I
thing.
was smacked.
Nah, this was actually pretty. It was pretty cool. I like how the grandparents really brought it in. It was like, hey, don't take the. Hey, we from here, mother. Don't come back here ever.
Right, ever. Even if I die.
You ran into this random mother. I'm glad you told us because
Yeah.
that would have been it. But nah, that was cool. So let's go ahead and we're gonna go ahead and get this pretty much. We're gonna call this a scare factor. Normally we do with animes, we do 1 from 5. So let's go ahead and do the short story the same. Goddess, what you giving? 1 through 5.
4.
4. All right, cool. And then what about you, Mochi?
4.
4. For me, I'm gonna give it a solid 4 too. This wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nightmare Tales. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one.
Pull, 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 pull.
Ska ska.